Welcome to RizeUpTV.com. My name is Jim Hollinger. I'll be your host today, and we're going to talk about a problem that happened in New York in 1885. The city was trying to solve a big problem they had. You see, the Statue of Liberty had arrived. It was in crates, and it needed to be put together, but there was no money to do it. Congress said they couldn't figure out how to get together to approve it. Nobody would agree on it. New York City said they couldn't afford it. The state of New York said, we can't do it. And so what happened is the American people got together and they said, we can do anything. And they put their brains together. And John Pulitzer came to the rescue, and he said, in 1885, publisher Joseph Pulitzer decided to launch a fundraising campaign in his newspaper, The New York World. They raised $101,000 from 160,000 donors. In 1982, President Reagan initiated a private foundation, and he asked Leah Iacocca if he would head it up, and they wanted to raise over $700 million to refurbish the Statue of Liberty for the centennial. And I want you to notice that that money is still coming in. In 2008, President Obama raised more than $500 million to become President of the United States. And in 2012, he initiated the Jobs Act, which is saying that it's okay for businesses to raise money through crowdfunding. And so we want to talk about some of the newest trends and how things have changed since he's done that. And that's where we're going to go today, because the American people have an answer. They have a solution. The Statue of Liberty did get put together. You can see people up on the top there looking out of the overview. And, you know, that's one of those things that you do once. When we were there, we went through it and we climbed up it. But it's one of those things that you really wouldn't do again. And so unless you had a guess that you were taking. So the American people did have a solution to the problem. And we've got the same thing we're facing again today. Congress can't seem to get it together. The American people are hurting financially, and we want to be able to help. And we've got a solution today that will help people out of the pinch that they're in, and we want to share that with you. So my question to you is, what would you do with $100,000? If somebody said that you've got $100,000, would you want to start a business? Would you want to expand one you've already got? Maybe you've got some school loans to be paid off, or some unmet or coming up medical bills that you'd like to meet. The one that I hear the most is getting out of debt. The first thing people tell me they'd like to do is get out of debt. I've got two people right now who are looking to raise money for a mortgage so they can get their house. Maybe you'd like to support the dance, theater, film, or with spring coming here, we've got the community projects of raising money for sports, our favorite sports team. Maybe you've got missions group that you'd like to support, or your favorite charity or a church. We've got some great ideas we're going to share with you here in a little bit that I think you're going to find very interesting and what they can do for you. What would you do with $100,000? Well, first of all, you need to get it. And so we're going to talk about that today, and you need to understand the differences in fundraising. There's fundraising, there's crowdfunding, there's community funding, there's cooperative pool sharing, and why most of these projects fail, and people fail when they do these projects. So we're going to discover that today as we go through here and take a look at this. This is probably the most famous guy there is when it comes to crowdfunding. His name's James Robertson, and he needed a car. He walked to work every day for 13 years. And this fellow right down here is what I want to focus on. His name is Evan, and he said to James, I'd like to help you raise money for a car. And he said, I would like to put together a project for you to do that. And he got together a group of people, and they went to work together. That's the first rule of crowdfunding. You need a coach. You need somebody to help you, somebody to give you that guidance. They got together. They got a hold of the PR equipment. They got a hold of a camera, took a picture, and they got all that stuff done. But here's the amazing part. This made the national news. For one, they raised $349,000 in 1 month. Came from 13,000 different donors. And I don't know that any of them knew who James even was, but they donated that money. Now, I got a question for you. He only needed $25,000. Why did people give so much money? Because they wanted to be a blessing to somebody, and they liked the idea, and they figured he could use the money. So he got a new car from the Ford dealer, but he also was able to buy a new home and relocate from the neighborhood he was in. So these are some of the great things that happened. And this was a GoFundMe project. And with GoFundMe, there's no charge to create a project, but there are charges for the donations that you receive. There's a 5% fee. Credit card processing is 2.9%. And there's a 30 cents per transaction fee involved. So of that money that was raised up, the expenses was $39,000 and more, but that's how it works, and that's the cost. So you do want to take that into account, because you could have had a fundraising project for $250 for 1 year and been able to change it and raise it instead of just trying to do it in 1 month. The next thing you want to think about is, how can you do this and how do you get it started? Your word of mouth is the most powerful tool that you've got. Last year, paying off student loans grew 4,017%. This is Alexis, and she had a $5,000 school bill that she had to pay. She didn't know how she was going to do it. She grew up with her 3 sisters and her mom in the Bronx, and they just didn't have the money. She got enough money to go to school, but she doesn't have enough to continue. So her friends said, why don't you do a crowdfunding project? We'll help you. And so they did. And she was overwhelmed with joy when she reached her goal of $5,000 in 72 hours. As a matter of fact, as soon as she did that, she went to her computer and she put out a thank you letter. And she said, to all of you that helped me, today you have showed me that there's love in this world and that hard work is never in vain, no matter how hopeless a situation seems. You are all so incredible, and I will pay every cent forward as I continue on this road to success. She has now received over $9,761, and I just checked. She is graduating this year, and she is excited. But I want to share with you what we would recommend. If you had a project that would last, she's going to need more money. She's going to need money to relocate, to set up a house, apartment, furniture, maybe transportation. And so with our project, you continue it on for your next need. So you need to think through your project all the way from the beginning to the end. And you can do that with no additional costs. So that's a major deal when it comes to putting together your project. Another type of project that I want to talk about is rewards-based. This is where people have a project that they want, and this one here we're looking at is the world's first modular watch, and they were giving back to the community. This was reward-based. You make a donation to us and we'll give you something back. And it could be, the first people that donate $200 get a watch at half price, or it could be a simple thank you, or mentioned on the website as a thank you gift and your name as a donor. So there's different ways to do this. But I want you to take a look at this program. The average cost of different funds and different ways of using the platforms is 10%. It goes there's some that go all the way up to 15%, but I want to use 10% just because of easy math. And another thing about this project is, if you do this kind of a project, if you don't raise the money you're looking for, in this case it's $250,000. If you don't raise the $250,000, let's say you only raise $200,000. You do not receive any of the money. So there's an incentive to reach your goal. Now, in this case, they raised $1.3 million from 4,390 backers, and they still have 10 more days to go. That's pretty exciting, and way to go, guys. You did a good job. Now, the fees to that at 10% would be $139,000. Now, if you were starting a company and you needed that money to get the product made, you're still going to have other expenses. You're going to need, probably some kind of a marketing system, website, a team to do that for you, do the promotion. You may need an office. You may need a warehouse. So there's other expenses involved, and that's one of the reasons that you want to be able to continue your project. And we have a one-time setup fee of $250, and that's all good for 1 year. So your choice is $139,000 or $250. I know what my choice would be. I had a lady call me, and she wanted to go to Disney World and take her kids and her husband. They all wanted to go to Disney World for about a week and a half. And she wanted to talk to me about putting a project together. And I said, well, let me see if I've got this right. You want to ask your family and friends to donate money to you so you guys can go on vacation. Is that right? She goes, yeah. And I could tell she was kind of embarrassed, but I knew that before just because of the way she was talking. And I said, look, there's a better way. And I want to share that with you. And that's cooperative funding. That's people working together to fund each other's projects. Instead of asking people to donate money to you for your project, why don't you go to them and say, listen, I found a way where we can raise money for anything that we need. Maybe you'd like to go on vacation. Maybe you'd like to buy a new car. Maybe you'd like to pay off your debt. And we're going to look at how we can do that together. And it's not new. This was going back up in the pioneer days when they would help each other build a house or build a barn. And by the way, that practice is still going on today. The Amish people do it. Habitat does it. But the one thing that they do is the community always work together. If you moved into the community and you were brand new, you had to help with somebody else's project and you'd be put on the list to get to yours when it was your turn. Habitat does the same thing. Habitat for Humanity says, if we're going to build a house for you, you need to be a part of building houses that are already on the list so that when your turn comes up, you'll know what to do and how to do it. And a lot of people go on to help other people build their homes. So it's a great project that works, but cooperative funding, cooperative working is always easier. Would it be easier for 2 people to put this wall up, or would it be easy for a dozen people to pick it up and stand it up? So working together makes it easier and more fun. I am really enjoying with all the people that I work with and all the projects that we have going. So what is community funding? Community cooperative funding is, instead of trying to raise money and ask people to give you a need for something that, face it, we don't all have a need that's going to make the news media. So how do regular funds, regular projects get funded? By helping each other achieve their goals. Maybe you've got somebody who wants to pay off their mortgage, buy a new home, start their business, or expand it. So when you share this with them and they have a project, then they can become a part of your profit sharing pool. And that's the part that's really exciting. And I'm going to explain to you how that works. So let's take a look at that and let's see how you can achieve your goals and your dreams. The first thing we want to do is get the words right. Okay, we are cooperative sharing, cooperative pool sharing. There are 2 ways that we receive money with RizeUp. The first one is straight donation. It is people putting money in your hand and saying, here, I hope this will help you, or sending you a card or giving you a check. You thank them very much and you put it in your bank, put it in your wallet. All funds go to you without any fees. Then we have the pool sharing donations. Those are the monies that you receive by working together in the cooperative, and how that's set up and how that works. So first of all, you enroll for $250. That's good for 1 year. Let's say you signed up and you know somebody's getting married. You go to them and you say, hey, Rick, I'd like to talk to you for a minute. I know you guys are getting married in 6 months. How would you like to take your wife on a honeymoon overseas for $250? Rick goes, I'd love it, but how can I do that? Well, the way to do that is to help somebody else get what they want. And so I'm going to share with you a way that you can do that and at the same time help other people that donate to you. Okay, how does it work? You enroll somebody who takes a platform. The company is going to pay you a $120 commission. That's going to go into your wallet. That's yours. The second thing that's going to happen is the company is going to take another $120 out of their money, and they're going to put that into your pool sharing, because they're going to let it grow and they're going to let it become more and more money. Now you look for another person. Maybe you know somebody that has a student loan. You share with them, say, hey, how would you like to get that student loan off your back? You share that with them. They say yes, and it's going to be how much? $250. You're going to receive $120 in your pocket. Another $120 is going to go into your pool sharing. And you go, wait a minute, there's something missing here. That's $240. I thought it was $250. Yes, $10 is what the company charges to set your project up. Now watch what happens here. When you've enrolled 2 people, the second referral qualifies you for pool sharing. Those 2 together qualify you to receive money from 10 different pools of sharing. That's the power of duplication. You shared this with 2 people. Those 2 people shared it with 2 other people. So now there's 4 people involved. And then those shared it with 2 more, 4 more, and everything doubles. It's the story of a penny being doubled every day. And that's how it works. When my father-in-law and his wife were celebrating their 50th anniversary, we went up there, and the photographer was trying to figure out how to take pictures. He changed locations 3 times because he couldn't get all the family in the picture. And so finally, the 3rd time, we were successful in getting the group together and all of them being able to fit in the picture with being seen. And so it accomplished a goal. But I remember Dad said, as he looked at all of that, and he was kind of annoyed at being moved around 3 times. And he said, he looked at his wife and he said, you know, he said, all of this here is because of you and me. The 2 of us started all of this. And that's exactly what it is. It's the power of duplication. We're going to take, and I want to give you a disclaimer here, because we're going to talk about how we are compensated, how we raise our donations, and how it works. And so I just want to let you know that the examples that I'm showing you are just examples of mathematically how it works in a perfect world. But I also want you to know it's not a perfect world, because when I joined this, I invited 5 people. And other people have done the same thing. And then there's other people who haven't invited anybody yet because they want to take a month or so to figure it all out before they do anything. So let's take a look at this and how this hypothetically does work. First of all, we're going to talk about the pool sharing, and I'm going to represent that by the lake here. The first thing that you want to do, and the first thing I tell people is, look, there's only one thing that you have to do that's very important, and that is you need to share this with at least 2 people. And I want them to know that. Now, when you do that, you're qualified for all these 10 pools. So what I'm showing you is the qualifications for that process. You share this with 2 people, and according to what I've just shown you, you're going to receive $240 in your wallet. And $240 is going to go into the pool for future growth. The next thing you want to do is you want to take and you want to go to the people that you just invited, and you want to teach them how to do the same thing. You're going to help them. You're going to show them how to use the website. You're going to tell them where to go, and or their trainer if they don't get it that involved. But we are here to help you. So you get your invitations out. They get their 2 people. They receive how much money? $240. And how much goes into their pool sharing? $240. So now we're ready to go to the 3rd floor where we start to begin our pool sharing. And that works like this. There are 4 pool shares there. That's what this number right here is for. On the 3rd pool, there's 4 pool shares that are going to pay you money. They're going to pay you $240 as soon as the people here follow you into this pool. You will receive that up to $960. It's paid as earned. As people advance and promote, you'll receive those $240 checks. On the 4th pool, there are 12 people in that pool, and I want you to notice the pool size has doubled. There's $480 in that pool for 12 people, and you'll be paid up to $5,760. Well, what if all 12 people don't get there? Well, they may not, but if 10 of them do, that's still $4,800. And the other people will get there. It just may take longer because they were slow starters. On the 5th pool, you've got 28 people there. You're going to receive $960 checks and a total up to $26,880. On the 6th level, in the 6th pool, there are 60 people there that you'll receive checks from. up to $115,000. Those checks will be $1,920 a piece. And the thing is, you're going to be receiving these checks from all these different pools, could be at the same time, because some are going to grow faster and slower than others. But the thing about it is that you will be paid for these people as they complete the pools. Now, I want to take a break here because we started out looking for what would you do with the $100,000. Now, folks, this can take you 6 months to do. It can take you a year to do. There are going to be some people that are even going to do this in shorter time than that. But the key is you did it. And for most people, because of the way we are structured, the company says we want to pay out as much money as we can. That's why they're only taking $10 for the setup, and the other money that they take, I'm going to show you in a second, okay? On the 7th pool, your checks grow to $3,840. There's 124 of those that'll become available, and a total of $476,000. So it doesn't matter whether you're trying to help somebody get out of debt, or whether you're trying to help them get a new home, or whether it's a church that wants to build a new building and they need to raise $5,000, $10,000, $1 million. It's all doable here, and it's all here. So it's, what is your goal? If you've met your goal at the end of the year, then you can say, okay, I've got what I need, and I won't renew. If you want to increase your project, because one thing I found out is, let's say that you build a $10 million building. You're going to find out that you're going to have some pretty high utility bills. So you're probably still going to need some money coming in. And so that can continue to do that, and you continue to expand your project. The company makes their money in 2 ways, okay? There are no fees for those donations that are given to you in your hand, in your wallet, through your donation button on your project page. No matter how you receive donations, that's your money. 10% of the $250 goes, $10, I'm sorry, $10 of the $250 goes to the company. Whenever RizeUp sends you money from the pool sharing, they deduct 20% up to $50 for a fee. So if they send you $100, they'll be deducting $20 for their fee. If your check is $250 or $10,000, then the fee will be no more than $50. Question for you. Do you know anyone, maybe yourself or a friend, who needs to raise money for any type of dream project? We can help. Get a hold of us, get a hold of the person that gave you this information, and say, hey, how do I do this? How does it work? What can I don't understand it. I've got questions. Great. We'll be glad to answer them. Enroll somebody in the next webinar, send them out the invitation, and we'll show you how to get this started and how to get off to a fast start, because what we want to do, and our goal, is to help you qualify for those pool shares in 24 hours. And that's our goal, and we've got ways of doing that, and we'll share that with you on the next webinar. So now it's your turn. Get back with the person that invited you and say, hey, I want to go ahead, I want to get enrolled, and I'd like to become a part of the team and get started. Invite 2 other people, and you're on your way, and we can help.